Hello, family. Hello. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Welcome back to Heal, Align, and Thrive, where we talk everything healing, where we talk everything alignment, and where we talk everything thriving. All right. So today I am all by myself, and today we are going to be talking about inner child healing. Listen, this is a very close topic to me. I love speaking about the inner child because every single one of us, we have an inner child. Whether we would love to believe that or not, but our inner child lives with us each and every day. They shape how we think about ourselves, the type of choices that we make, And it's so crazy that a lot of us do not know that we carry wounded inner children, and that's why we kind of like maybe live the life that we do, because our wounded inner children are the ones that are making all the decisions for us. They're the ones that are running the show. So your inner child is that free, innocent version of you, most authentic, most real, and you come into the world and you are told how to behave and what to suppress and what not to feel, what to do, and all of those things. And then you start shape shifting just to be loved, just to be accepted. Now, if you've ever found yourself overreacting in relationships or shutting down during conflict, people pleasing to survive, or feeling like you're too sensitive, listen, that was me. I was deemed very too sensitive. Then this episode is for you. So stick around and let's begin. So we all have a childlike soul, we are all born with a version of ourselves that is very intuitive, emotionally honest. Listen, I think there's a video I posted on my TikTok page the other day about a child who was so brutally honest when their parent kept on asking them, "Will you do it again?" And the child said, "Yes, I will do it again." And the parent was prompting the child to say no, that you won't do it again. But the child just kept on saying yes. We've all been those kids that were very brutally honest. Your inner child speaks the truth without shame. They love without any fears, and they live life without any guilt. So think about how really young kids speak their minds without hesitation. I know I was definitely one of those kids who spoke their mind. Like, if I heard my parents gossiping about someone and then that person came around, I would definitely be telling the truth that, listen, and I would get in so much trouble because I was one person. Yes, one would say yes, but I was just exercising that most authentic part of myself, and of course I got in trouble for that, and I had to learn to shape shift so I could be accepted by my parents and also accepted by the world, because we tend to hide or shy away from those things because we fear rejection, if people will even embrace us. So that part of you still exists, and in order for you to kind of like access that part of you, you need to make sure that your nervous system is safe. Some of us did not experience a safe nervous system. That's why it's so important to go back into your childhood and be ready to kind of like see what happened to you and reparent all of those wounds and go through all of those wounds. That's why we always say it's important to go back. So how childhood shapes us is that as children, our emotional needs are not always met. Listen, even if you can come from the most healthiest of households, not all your emotional needs will be met. And I think that is the true reality that we live in, that our parents are not going to fulfill every emotional need, but that does not mean then as an adult we cannot rectify or kind of like give that to ourselves, especially if something is now making you self-destruct within yourself. And this is not because we're not worthy, but sometimes as well our caregivers were the ones who were wounded. I always say that we were parented by our parents' wounded inner children, to be quite honest with you. A lot of us were raised by parents who are still carrying their own inner child wounds, and they still reflect or they still react from an unhealed place. Every time they still also react from an unhealed place of that inner child that's screaming that ginake, and when you have kids and you have an inner child that is screaming as an adult, and you have a child, you are going to give all of the wounds that you have as an adult to that child. Whether you would love to believe it or not, I do not make the rules. It's just how it goes, And when we expressed our truth, you may have been told, I know, you're too much. Thanda indaba zabantu. Mncane nje phuma nje indabeni zabantu abadala. Stop crying, be a good girl or be a good boy, or you're making things up. And this taught us to actually abandon parts of ourselves in order to be loved. That's shape-shifting. And in that abandonment, the inner child becomes a wound, right? Or the inner child has a wound, an unmet need that continuously lives in our subconscious and drives us in our adult behaviors. Now, let me tell you where your inner child wounds will mostly appear. Your inner child wounds will definitely mostly appear in relationships. As adults, those parts of yourselves that are not healed, they will definitely show up in your relationships. You'll get triggered so easily in a relationship because romantic partners often mirror the same emotional wounds that we experience from childhood. Yep. Even if you'd like to believe it or not, your wounds show up the most in your relationship because all of these unmet needs, subconsciously that you have, whether you would like to believe it or not, you are expecting your partner to be the one to meet those expectations or meet the lack that you got from your parents. Now you thinking that your partner is now going to be the one to soothe all your pains, all your wounds, all your traumas. They're the ones that are going to come in and save the day. That's why they get triggered there the most, because we expect so much out of our partners, feeling like they're the ones who are going to rectify us, or they're the ones that going to save us. Have you ever yelled during a fight, slammed the door, or shut off completely, or begged for reassurance? Trust me, that's not the adult self-reacting. That's the inner child screaming. Let me tell you what your inner child is screaming in that moment. They're screaming, please do not leave me. Please see me. Please love me the way I've always wanted to be loved. Because again, I spoke about we expect our partners to be the ones to play the role that our parents failed to play. I know early stages in my relationship, I wanted my husband to be everything to me. I wanted him to reassure me that I'm beautiful, that he's not going to leave, I'm enough, and all of these things, I wanted him to be the one to fulfill my unmet needs from my childhood, kind of like save the day, and then we're going to run off to sunset. But as I had that expectation, that's where our relationship was taking a toll, because he also has his own inner child that has wounds, and now me adding onto that thinking is the one that's going to heal those wounds. That's me running away from doing the work, the work of me giving all of that to my own inner child. So, what is the inner child healing, or what is inner child healing? It's the process of going back to that little part of yourself that was unheard, that was emotionally neglected. And some of us also experienced abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse. It's those parts of yourself that experienced, the little versions of yourself that experienced so much pain at an early age, and you never got to process that trauma. You had to kind of like quickly still live and grow, but that trauma still is in your body. As an adult, because your body does not forget, you may be easily triggered, you may be easily reactive to every single thing. That's because the inner child is still needs some healing. Your inner child still needs some healing. And when you go back to your inner child where you do the healing, you meet them with love, safety, and presence, that they never received. You basically become the parent to your inner child, or the parent to yourself that you never had. You become that. And that is the most difficult, to even parent yourself, because the first thing would be, where do I even start reparenting myself? I always say, start from the place that you're struggling with the most and go back. Start from where it hurts the most and go back and trace it back. Don't want to do everything at once. It's not going to make sense. You're just going to be putting more pressure onto yourself, and you are not going to see even the purpose of you healing your inner child. So I would always say, start from where it hurts the most. If, for example, what hurts the most is you have an anxious attachment style towards your partners or anything, start there. If you're a people pleaser, start there, there's so many things. Start from the place where it hurts the most. And when you do the work of inner child healing, you start by even validating or admitting to yourself that you do have a wounded inner child. And in you admitting this, it does not mean you're saying that your parents did a horrible job. But one thing about the inner child, they want to be validated. You cannot bypass a corner with your inner child and say, I get they did their best, so there's no need for us to be feeling like this. No, you're still not validating your inner child that, listen, we are in pain right now. Our parents could not give us what we wanted, and that's just the truth. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Validate that inner child with the truths that are so hard to admit. Don't lie to yourself, because if you lie to yourself, you're still doing performative inner child healing. When you lie to yourself, you start by saying the truth of, I see you, I hear you, you matter, I'm not leaving you, I'm here to validate the truths in you. And you have those brutal, honest conversations with yourself that you've been running away from. You do that. It's learning to reparent yourself with honesty, compassion, and unlearning emotional patterns, coping mechanisms, and truly returning home to yourself. Like when you have to unlearn the coping mechanisms that you learned throughout your survival mode, you need to be honest with yourself as to why you got to even have these types of coping mechanisms or these emotional patterns. So if you can't be honest with that, you're still not being honest with your inner child healing. You had those patterns because you had to protect your inner child from the environment that was there. They had to survive because living was not an option. Do you understand what I mean? So be honest. Be honest. Here is a quiz that I have for you. The quiz is, are you operating from your inner child or from your adult self? And this is a yes or no quiz. These questions, yes or no, no explanation. It's either it's a yes or it's a no. Do you feel unseen or unheard in most of your relationships? Yes or no? Number 2, do you struggle with emotional outbursts or shutdowns when triggered? Yes or no? Number 3, do you find yourself people pleasing or over explaining? Yes or no? Number 4, do you fear abandonment or rejection more than you would like to admit? Yes or no? Number 5, do you often feel like your needs don't matter or you are like too much? Yes or no? Number 6, are you overly hard on yourself when you make mistakes? Now, if you have answered yes to 3 or more, your inner child may be running the show, but it is deeply asking for your attention, compassion, and healing. And right here at Heal, Align, and Thrive, we do offer inner child harmony sessions where we really do dive deep onto inner child work healing, where we go back to your inner child and we work with you and guide you through your traumas and all of your pains. So, of course, if you'd like to book a session with us, you can click the link on our bio and it will take you straight to our website and we can connect from there. Listen, healing your inner child is not easy. Healing in general, it's not easy, it's not linear. And the reason I think I would say even I have compassion towards our parents is that healing is a lot. It requires a lot from you because it requires you to kind of like leave your old version of doing things and go to the unknown where you introduce new patterns to yourself. So that is a scary concept of leaving the version that you know for something that you don't know. But you know that they have so much peace, so much love, they have so much compassion. It's really hard, and a lot of our parents could not get to that phase because of how difficult truly healing is. So healing is not linear, and I need you to always give yourself grace in the stages and processes that you're in your healing journey. But I would say that it's one of the most life-changing things you can do, because when you heal, you not only heal you, but even the lineage that came before you. It's almost like when you're healing in your cycle breaker, I always say you do things that were never done before. And that shows the courage and the strength that is within you, the resilience that is in you, the power, the strength, and that is within you of doing things that were never done in your family before. That takes a lot of courage. So be patient with yourself, give yourself grace, because now it's your first time living. Okay? So for now, I will like to just wrap it up here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Bye.